For those of you who don't know what brain fog is, to me, how I experienced it, it was almost like, honestly, like kind of dementia. I mean, I haven't had dementia, but I truly did not know where I was, what I was doing, or where the things were that I should have known where they were. The brain fog that I was having, we're in chiropractic school, so our brains need to be functioning like all the time.
Right.
It's a lot, and it's fast paced. I knew this. I was studying for this central nervous system exam. And then when I got to the exam, I was staring at these structures that I'd seen so many times. And I was like, I know that I know this structure, but like I couldn't put it into words.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't like write the word of it on my exam.
Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Expect Miracles podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by uccnearme.com, the world's leading upper cervical directory to find an upper cervical doctor near you. Today we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Nicole King. She is just starting out at our office in Spine of Life in St. Augustine, Florida. We are thrilled to have her as an upper cervical doctor. She has an amazing recovery story under upper cervical care. Gave her life back, so much so that she decided to be an upper cervical chiropractor herself. She's passionate about what she does. And again, we are thrilled to have her in the office. Please welcome Dr. Nicole King.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so great. This is the first time I've done a podcast.
Great. Well, no pressure. There's only 3 cameras and
Ben awkwardly staring at us.
Yes, exactly. So Nicole, I always like to ask people where they're from, what were you into growing up, things like that.
Okay. I'm from Virginia. I'm originally from this smaller town in Virginia called Winchester. Kind of grew up in the country a little bit. My dad had cows and lots of land and stuff.
Farm
and
girl.
Then, yeah, little farm girl, named my cows and everything. They came when I called. Yep. But I moved to Virginia Beach about 5 years ago. And ever since we moved to the beach, I've just become a beach girl. So here we are at another beach.
Another beautiful beach here in St. Augustine.
Exactly.
And Nicole, you have a background of fitness.
Yes.
And was that something you were always into growing up? Did you play any sports, or was that something you found later on in life?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. My mom, she was like, you have to pick something. You have to do something. I was going into high school from being in like a more private school, and she was like, you need to make friends, you need to pick a sport, and you need to just do it. And so I decided to pick cross country because one of my older friends had done cross country, and I was like, yeah, I'll just do that. So I started running.
Nice.
And that is actually how kind of this whole chiropractic story of mine began.
Really? So how did you end up going to chiropractic school?
So originally I ended up going to chiropractic school because I, again, looking back in hindsight, realize this now. I was running so much. Cross country is really high mileage, and I decided to do like long distance for every single season. So I was running like indoor track, outdoor track, summer running, and then cross country. And I ended up getting 3 or 4 stress fractures. It was a lot.
Wow.
I lost count.
3 or 4, wow.
Yeah, and then 2 in the same toe, which it sounds weird, like one little toe. What's that going to do? But it was actually really painful.
Really?
And to heal, they put me in a boot, which is super standard to do. And I actually, because of how many stress fractures I had, I was in that boot for a very long period of time, like several months upon months. And they didn't give me a foot leveler. So now, knowing what we know, you can see what happened there.
Yeah.
Pelvis got misaligned. Everything up the spine got misaligned. So that injury was in high school. I didn't start to feel too much pain until I was like 20 or 21. And I just remember I was at Virginia Tech and I was like, why do I not have the ability to sleep? I'm 21 years old, and I should not be feeling pain when I'm this age.
Right.
So I literally went to the chiropractor for the standard back pain.
Yeah.
I quite literally Googled it on my phone. I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was like, who helps with back pain? And it said chiropractor. So I did some research, and at the time I was also going to Richmond, Virginia quite a bit. And so I found a chiropractor there, and he does the Thompson technique with drop tables. And after my first adjustment, he fixed my pelvis, and it caused my gait immediately to change. And I felt the difference immediately walking out his door.
Wow.
And I got back to my car and I called my mom, and I was like, I was actually like 6 months from graduating with my dietetics degree, like in nutrition from Virginia Tech, and I was going to be a sports dietitian. And I called my mom and I was like, hi, Mom, actually, I'm going to be a chiropractor. So
Was she pumped about it, or did she have any?
yeah, she was just excited that I was excited about it,
Nice.
honestly. Yeah, she's always supported me. Shout out, Mom. Love you. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got started with chiropractic in general. And then I found upper cervical later on when I was actually in school.
Cool. So
Yeah.
great segue. What was going on in chiropractic school?
Yeah.
You had some things going on, upper
Yeah.
cervical issues that you necessarily didn't know much about. And was it
Exactly.
easy to find upper cervical, or was it kind of like a long, windy road?
Yeah, so I had symptoms that were much different than what brought me to the chiropractor originally. My symptoms that led me to seek out upper cervical chiropractic in chiropractic school was severe brain fog.
And for people that don't know, what, like, I have people comment like, what the hell is brain fog? Like,
Yeah.
what does that feel like?
Okay, so I'll give you an example, a real life example from my life. So I was walking on campus at Life University, and I realized that I didn't know why I was walking, and I didn't know where I was going.
Yeah, scary
And
feeling,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
and so I continued to walk in the direction I was walking. I was like, we got to be going somewhere for a
Yeah.
reason. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to my car. So I'm in the parking garage, and I'm like, well, where did I park my car?
Oh my gosh.
And could not for the life of me remember.
Wow.
And I walked all the way to the top of the parking garage on the stairs, because I was like, well, maybe when I get to the floor I parked on, maybe I'll like remember. I didn't. I walked all the way to the top, and
Panicking.
seriously, when I got to the top, I started crying and called my mom again. I called my mom and I was like, this is not okay. Like, I had one of those moments again where I was like, this ain't right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what brain fog is, to me, how I experienced it, it was almost like, honestly, like kind of dementia. I mean, I haven't had dementia, but I truly did not know where I was, what I was doing, or where the things were that I should have known where they were. And also, another example, I guess, the brain fog that I was having, we're in chiropractic school, so our brains need to be functioning like all the time.
Right.
It's a lot, and it's fast paced. And I knew this, and I always study ahead of time, like multiple weeks in advance, because I'm somebody who needs like repetition in my brain. And if I don't get the repetition, then I know I'm not going to do well. So I remember I was studying for this central nervous system exam, and it was like something like 500 structures or something, and then the exam is 25.
Oh my gosh, you have
the
to know
models.
everything.
Yeah, you got to know
for
it.
literally nothing.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So I started studying way in advance, and I actually studied with Ben, so he'll tell you, like, yeah, she was there. We're not making this up. I did study. Yeah. So, and then when I got to the exam, I was staring at these structures that I had seen so many times. And I was like, I know that I know this structure, but like I couldn't put it into
connect it.
words.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't like write the word of it on my exam. Failed the exam.
Yeah.
It was a final. Failed the class, you guys. I failed the class. So yeah, words out. I failed a class in chiropractic school. We're still here though. We made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one I failed. But yeah, that also happened. And it led me to believe that my symptoms were pretty severe. And just because it involved my brain, I figured, hey, let's look into upper cervical. I had heard about it at school, and I was actually going to the club already for Blair. So I was like, well, let's do it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you had a very interesting story too, because your first adjustment was not what you expected.
Yeah.
We're not going to say the doctor's name or anything, or there's about 7 different upper cervical techniques is what I'm getting at. And you got to find the right one for
Yes.
you, Not
Yes.
all the techniques are for everyone. So if one upper cervical doctor doesn't work for you, you might want to try another one with a different technique. It might be better for you.
That's so true.
Go on.
Yeah, that is so true. I wasn't going to mention that, but
Yeah.
yeah. Did you want me to describe that?
So
or?
yeah.
Yeah, so I got adjusted at first, upper cervically, and I hadn't been adjusted upper cervical before, and I still knew that something was like really wrong. So my after the adjustment, my whole like perception, like proprioception, I don't know if you've talked about it like on this podcast,
Your spatial awareness.
My spatial awareness,
Yeah.
was totally off. I felt like I was rocking on a boat constantly, which if you've ever seen any of Dr. Kevin's videos, that is a
Pretty much
sign.
what I say,
Yeah. Yeah. And I also felt nauseous like immediately, which can, it's not always a terrible sign after an adjustment, but I knew in my head, like something was wrong, like something shifted the wrong direction and I could feel it. After that adjustment, 3 days after that, I came down with like a terrible, I think it was the flu, but I didn't ever go to the doctor to find that out. But I don't typically get sick. And I came down with something really bad and it lasted for a lot longer than it typically would last. So that was an indication to me that also my immune system wasn't functioning as properly as it had in the past.
So you didn't get the adjustment you were expecting. What made you want to try it again?
Yeah. So I was like, maybe not that technique. And then, I had been interested in Blair since my first quarter. I went to the club when Dr. Al Cobb had just restarted it, actually, my first quarter on campus. And I remember sitting there and Al was talking and it was like, woo.
Right over your
woo,
head. Yeah.
Like so many words. And I was like, I don't think I'm there yet to be going to this club. But I was like, it seems really cool. So I circled back to it about quarter 3 when I met Ben, or after we had been like studying together and stuff. And we had talked about how we were both interested in the club and we were like, well, let's get back to it. We'll do it together and look like idiots together, I guess, in the learning process. Yeah, that's kind of how I found Blair.
And then, so you found Blair, and then what was your first Blair adjustment like?
Dr. Herman, we love you.
Yeah, she is the best.
Yes, Dr. Herman taught Ben and I a lot. She gave me my first Blair adjustment, and that was unreal.
I love how you have the photo of it too.
Oh my God. I was just about to bring that up, actually. Like, it would be funny if I had it on my phone or whatever, but somewhere on Ben's phone is a photo of me looking honestly kind of trashed. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really don't look great in the picture, but I look like I'm on like cloud 9 or something. Like, I am just zonked. Like, she hit me good.
in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Like, in a good way. I just remember feeling the blood flow and then like openness in my head because I was having the brain fog, and I don't know how else to describe it other than just like it was almost like a bubble popped or released or something, and my brain fog, like I could feel my head shifting. Like also, like it wasn't just brain fog, it was like almost like a depression kind of thing, to be honest.
That happens with a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that I would wake up in the morning and just thinking about having to get out of bed to brush my teeth made me like I couldn't do it. I was like, oh my God, like that's too much. I can't do it. And I'd never felt that way in my life ever before. But yeah, after Dr. Herman adjusted me, Ben drove me home because I was not about to drive. And I slept for probably 13 hours, I think. Yeah, it was like 13 hours. And then I don't think I had to get another adjustment for quite a while. And I think I had 6. We retook our x-ray, like the 3D x-ray, and I could see the structural changes just after 6 adjustments. And I could definitely feel my symptoms like gone. Like I was passing my classes. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's interesting. You brought that up. I felt the same way before I found upper cervical, like just getting out of bed and doing really simple tasks. Like I would curl up in a ball and just be like, I can't do this today. And some days I would stay in bed all day because I had such severe anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, like just little things that people like take for granted, like you just can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not saying that all depression comes from the neck, but like unexplainable depression, like that's not your own personal self. Like
I'm not.
It can be so much inflammation up by the brain. It could definitely have effect on your mental health.
Exactly. I'm just not the person to be like, oh, brushing my teeth is like too much. Like I'm so not that way. Like, so when I started feeling those symptoms, I realized that something was really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, how much later did you decide, like, this is what I need to do now?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think I decided that Blair was what I wanted to do before I got my Blair adjustment, to be honest with you, because I always, ever since I heard about Blair, I just, in my head, like when I know something that I like, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. Like when I got the adjustment, it only took one thing and my brain is like, this is what we're doing. Like I have no like second thoughts about it.
Yeah.
And when I heard about Blair, it was like that. And when I went Q1, I knew it was like over my head and not for me right now, but it was definitely something where I was like, oh, I'm coming back to this when I can actually understand what's going on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And Life University in Georgia is one of the better schools, I would say top 2 to learn the upper cervical technique, because you have so many phenomenal teachers, Dr. Herman, Dr. Lee, Dr. Susan, but she helps out a little bit. Yeah. So you have like 3 amazing doctors right there for you that not a lot of people have access to at the other schools.
Yeah. The amount that Dr. Lee and Dr. Herman give back to the students is unmatched. Like I haven't met any other professors who give back like that. Like it's amazing. If you want to learn Blair, it's go there and learn from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you are about to graduate from Life. You are gonna be an upper cervical chiropractor.
Yeah.
What do you see? What are you excited about this first year upcoming to be a Blair doctor?
Oh my gosh, that's such an easy question, but there's so many things that I'm excited about. I'm excited to watch people on their healing journey. I'm someone who really appreciates the journey, like the process of getting there. And that's honestly one of the things I love the most, like tracking people's progress. I guess it kind of correlates to like doing like weightlifting and like even running. It's like getting just so
diving deep into it.
So into the process, because it really is a process. Like some people do feel better after one adjustment, but a lot of people don't, you know? So like helping patients understand that, educating people. I really, really want to educate people, my patients, so they actually know what's going on. Like, and I love when people ask questions in the office. Like so many people are like, what is that thing that you're doing with my legs? Like, why, what are we doing here? And I'm like, I love it. I could get into it for like hours. Yeah. It's so cool to me. So honestly, I'm excited just to be part of their journey. Yeah. Yeah.
And what you mentioned before definitely is a healing process.
Yeah.
Some people don't have that amazing first adjustment. Sometimes you have to work through layers and layers of trauma, physical, emotional, psychological. Like there's so many layers to healing of the nervous system. We usually say give it at least 3 months to really take out those layers for your body to heal. For me, it took me about 9 months to be symptom free. I'm sure you felt great after that first adjustment, but there was layers of healing. And how long have you been under care for?
Oh my gosh. That was in 5th quarter that I had my sixth quarter when I had my first adjustment. And now we're in 14th quarter. So 12 quarters. So 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it took me like 1.5 years to be like, oh my God, I am fully back. I remember 9 months in, I felt like so good, but one upper cervical doctor told me one time, it was like, go 4 seasons with your head on straight. So like
Yeah.
a full year of your head being neurologically connected to your spine.
Yeah.
And that's where you really see the true healing.
I just did math so wrong, you guys. It's 2 years. Yeah. But, something else I wanted to say is that I realized after getting upper cervical care that I wasn't feeling lightheaded. This is a very weird thing because to say that I thought it was normal, but I would feel lightheaded sometimes when I stood up.
Like to the point where you'd almost need to pass out or?
So I had a history of passing out. I actually passed out during one of my cross country races.
Wow.
It was like one of the qualifying races, and I was like 100 feet from the finish line, and I literally just passed
dropped.
out. Yeah. And I like throughout my like growing up years, I would just like pass out.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long do you think you were out for during that race?
Honestly, I do not remember.
You just woke up with like a bunch of people
I woke
around
up in our tent.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
and
you
apparently
were-
I was talking. I don't remember
Yeah.
like some of the stuff I said,
Wow.
but yeah. And then looking back on that, like it's so weird how many things in our lives we're like, oh yeah, like seeing stars when I get out of the chair. Like, no, that's me on the day to day.
Yeah.
And then after my Blair adjustment, I'm like, huh,
That's not
you know, I
normal.
don't actually
Yeah.
see stars when I
Yeah.
stand out of my chair anymore.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so crazy.
Yeah. People deal with
Yeah.
these symptoms for so long that it just becomes the norm. And you're
Yeah.
just like, this is my new normal. And you just forget that being lightheaded and dizzy and headaches and all that, it's just like, okay, this is my daily life. And
Yeah.
some people just accept it and go their whole lives. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is actually wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is so cool.
So, Nicole, at the end of each episode, I'd like to ask all my guests, what is one piece of advice that really resonates with you that you would like to give the audience? Could be absolutely anything.
Oh my gosh. This is going to sound really mean. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Let's hear it.
Get your ass up and do something about it.
Yeah.
Like that is the advice that I would give. And it's probably going to insult some people, but stop talking about it. Get up and do something about it. I would just say that's what's led me down the path of my entire life. It's like, don't wait, do something, like take action.
Absolutely.
Could be anything, not just care for
Right.
your neck,
Right.
but yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I know we're still working on the social medias and everything,
Yeah.
but if people find inspired by this episode, where can
Yeah.
people find you and reach you
Okay.
on social media?
Cool. Now I need to actually remember my Instagram handle. Well, hopefully I create another one, but right now you can reach me at kking.nicole.
kking.nicole.
Yeah.
And we also have our St. Augustine Spine of Life page, Spine of Life. You can message Dr. Nicole on there. We had Dr. Ben on last week. You can mention him there, message him there. And we're excited. We got 3 doctors in here. We're going to be rocking and rolling. We've had some really cool cases, people flying from all over the world.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
We got somebody from Northern Ireland right now. And it's awesome because they're getting their ass up and they want to do something about their health.
Exactly.
And upper cervical, I think, is one of the most powerful adjustments and healing modalities. I feel like it's the best kept secret in the world. That's why we do these podcasts and
my
make all
gosh.
these videos. And
Yeah, the word has to get out there about upper cervical. It's wild. I'm like, this is so amazing. I want to tell everybody about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nicole, thank you
Go
so
right into the mic. Talk right into the mic.
yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Dr. Nicole, Dr. Ben, and I, we're going to be doing some group podcasts over the next few months.
Woo.
If you guys want us to do a condition-based video, more stories about our personal care or patients, let us know. Drop them in the comments, and we will do an episode on it.
Oh my gosh! Wait, Ben has the picture.
Okay, we're gonna post this picture with the some of the Instagram clips.
Okay, please do. Everyone will know.
Perfect. All right, Nicole, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be back shortly.
Yay!